Hello, OA friends. Whether you are new here or a frequent listener, welcome to Inside OA. My name is Meg, and I'm a compulsive overeater and food and sugar addict. Today, I'm meeting with Laurie. Currently, she's a trustee and brings verve and vision. Today, we delve into how does service impact our everyday life? So, Laurie, how did you step into service?
Oh my gosh, this is such a great topic because it took me back to the beginning of my service journey. And I clearly remember my very first job in OA was newcomer greeter. When my sponsor told me that it was really important for my recovery for me to do service, I was such a blank slate. I was brand new to 12-step programs, didn't know anything about it. And I thought, well, what do I know? Well, I know how to be new at this. I've been doing new at this for a few months now. Maybe I can help somebody else who's new. And it went from there. What's interesting to me is this. When I was asked to consider this topic, my first thought was when I walked in the doors and I thought about service, at that point of my life, I think my first thought was, what can I bring to the job? What skill sets do I have? What knowledge, what abilities? What are my strong points, my strong suits? What am I good at that I can bring to my OA service? That's changed over the years a lot. It's almost done a complete 180. When I think about service now, I think more about what I've learned from it, what I can do now that I either didn't know how to do coming in or wasn't very good at. That first newcomer job, that wasn't too hard, but I'm an introvert by nature, and I had been an isolator for a long time when I walked through the doors. So for me to call people up and say, hi, after the meeting, to call them up and say, hi, I was happy to meet you at the meeting the other day. Just wondering how things are going and what I might be able to do to help you. That was that was a big step. That was a really big step for me to do that. I had done it in a professional setting where it was more prim and proper and businesslike, but doing it one-on-one with people I don't know, oh my gosh, that was such a challenge for me. And you know what? I did it. It was fine. And once I started doing it more, it got to be fun and it was easy. So I learned how to do that sort of thing. I think my next job was key holder. I had been a long time, all my life, procrastinator. I had been told many times, you will be late for your own funeral. And they were right. They were right. Well, what does the key holder have to do? Oh my goodness, I have to be on time. I cannot be late. I cannot be late because they can't get in if I'm not there to open the door. Oh my goodness. Before I knew it, I was getting to doctor's appointments on time and other things because it was a skill I had to practice and get better at. I had to let go of some fear to do that too. And I think as I go on, I think about where I went from there. It went from that to, oh, I'm sure I probably took notes at meetings. We were so small, we didn't really have official positions like secretary, but there was a intergroup rep. So I stepped up to that, didn't know anything about it. Went from intergroup rep to region rep to World Service Business Delegate, and finally to trustee. And it's interesting because I think what I've learned through those kinds of jobs is how to represent other people's interests. I don't know that I was very good at that before. I was representing my group at intergroup. Ultimately, it came around to representing the intergroup and all the groups under it to World Service. That's very different from going into a meeting representing myself or my interests. Several years ago, when my mother died and then my older brother, I found myself in the position of being the executor of the estates. And I had to represent my other two brothers' interests. It wasn't just about what Laurie wants or what Laurie thinks is right. It had to be what's best for each of us collectively and as individuals. And I think I learned that by being a service rep at all three levels, all four levels, really.
Laurie, that is an excellent example. And so, can you say more about what that looked like then when you represented others? versus just yourself, just in everyday life?
Mhm. I had to do some research. I had to do some investigation. Right now, I don't know when this podcast will be released, but as we're looking at the timeline right now, it's late January, and we're going to have people right now scurrying around trying to answer those agenda questionnaires. And we hope that they represent their groups. I think everybody tries to, but it requires some due diligence of sitting down, reading through the volumes of material and information, reflecting on it, thinking about it, and helping others understand it, and then being able to find out what they think. Should this be brought to World Service Business Conference or not? That's really different again from doing that for ourselves. Should I buy this or that at the grocery store? It's different when we have to do some research and find out what the options are, introduce them to others, and then get a sense of where the group conscience is and where the consensus is. The other thing that can happen, and it happened to me, is I got to World Service and one of the motions was changed. It was amended on the floor. Oh my goodness. Well, this is a whole different set of considerations as to which way I should vote. I can't just vote with what they told me to vote. I've got to make a new decision. What do I do with that? So it requires some investigation and some becoming knowledgeable about the issues and maybe picking up the phone and calling a couple of people who may have had strong feelings about emotion or who have a good breadth of knowledge or depth of knowledge on the subject, get other people's opinions, and to know when I need to do that. Tuning into my higher
That's,
power to find out
yeah,
what's the best thing to do here.
that's great. And it's really being a steward for the collective whole, which is really about unity, that we really want to come together and represent. And I have found being at the World Conference, and if you're listening and you've never been to a conference, you have to check one out. But anyway, there's times I felt strongly about emotion. I'm going to vote for this. And then I hear the other side present their thoughts and research and whatever. And it's, oh my gosh, that changes everything. Like you're saying, it's taking that step back and saying, it isn't just about me as the member, it's about who am I representing? Am I here representing my group, my inner group, my region, the world? And I find myself as a trustee at this point, I am not making decisions based on me. I'm making decisions based on what I think is best for OA as a whole. After listening to other people's thoughts, research, and even opinions.
The other thing that I've picked up from doing service in this global organization is all kinds of different cultures, background, worldviews, disparate um, views on life, on how we interact. And those are the kinds of things that are helpful almost anywhere I go. That could help me out shopping. Another volunteer organization I'm involved with brings people from all over the area to work on environmental issues. And we get people from all kinds of backgrounds. We get scholarly people, we get social worker kind of people, we get people who've never worked outside the home for paid work. We get all kinds. And those people see things differently. And that becomes really apparent doing service for an organization like OA, where we come together from all four corners of the globe, really gives a different perspective. And that's been really helpful for me to understand better the people that I might be out doing a creek cleanup with, or planting some trees, or collecting seagrass. I get to hear how they view the world and what they think our global issues are with the environment. And I'm not sure that I would have been as prepared to hear that and to really be an active listener for it as I have become through my OA service. Really requires a lot of active listening. And that's a skill that hadn't honed very well coming into this service.
And that's great. I have found that as well. And how do you think your shifting to more active listening has helped you? What do you have an example of how you used to be and what you evolved? to
Oh,
become?
yes. I've got a good family. I could probably have 100
Perfect,
stories of
perfect. We love
family
family
listening
stories.
because what is life but relationships and family? And I had an incident today with my spousal unit where something happened with a medical appointment, and the doctor's office put his appointment in my name. So I started getting text messages and emails reminding me of this appointment that I knew I didn't have. And I went to him and tried to sort out what might have happened. And I had to really listen to what he was telling me and what the people at the doctor's office were telling me in order to figure it out. I wasn't happy with what I heard because I felt like the responsibility for cleaning it up was coming back on me. But you know what? One of the things I've learned in the 12-step rooms is to get back on my side of the street and look at my part in it. And part of that means really hearing the other person. I have all sorts of preconceived notions about how I think my husband operates and how he might do something and why he might do something a certain way. And I might be right, but I won't know unless I really hear him out. So I've gotten more willing to hear people out, to ask questions first before I start making demands or accusations. So it helps my recovery too. Of course, there's a thousand ways that doing service helps my recovery, but that's a big one there. Yeah.
That's wonderful example. I know I look at my siblings and we just had our third annual sibling vacation. So there's five of us all together. And there was a bit of, we talked about an outside issue that part of us feel one way and part of us feel the other. And I feel that before recovery, it would have been a big, huge screaming match. And this time it was space and time to ask questions and listen instead of wanting to jump in and get my point across and the whole thing about, well, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. And what I heard you say too is maybe I am, but I really need to listen to find out if that's the case. And that's helped me at work too, instead of
Mhm.
just feeling I have to jump in. Did you notice the difference, let's say, when you went from intergroup rep to region? Were there other learnings as far as being a service person that you saw significant change or that you had to really do things different?
I did come from an area where we don't have a lot of meetings. I think we have 7 currently, and they're mostly very small, around 10 people. So I was in a pretty small bubble before I stepped up to go to region. And when I went there, oh my gosh, I met people who went to meetings with 50 people where they had 50 meetings. It was just it really opened my eyes to the world of OA. And part of what I learned there is that everybody doesn't do this the same way. It's really interesting. And that's one of the things I really love about it is hearing how other people work their program of recovery. It's just a great reminder that there's so much diversity in our meetings, in our fellowship, in our world. And it's one of the greatest gifts of all, I think, is to be able to really see that diversity play out in people's lives when they share their stories of how they came to be in OA and then how their recovery evolved, where they are now, mistakes they made along the way. Those are all great things to hear and learn that help my recovery and also help me to understand that everybody doesn't have the same life experience I do. Just like we say everybody's recovery journey is different, everybody's life package journey is different as well. And that becomes really apparent. And then I can take that back to my family, my circle of friends. I have a circle of friends that I've known since grade school, and that's a long time. And we still get together for dinner or lunch several times a year. And even though we came from the same background, our lives have played out very differently. I think experiencing that with my OA fellows has better prepared me to experience it with my friends from so many decades ago. I'm more interested in them and less interested in talking about myself That sounds like one of the promises of the program, doesn't it? Lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in others. I have. And that has come in part from doing service. When I go have lunch with, I shouldn't identify us by location, but the so and so chicks. My husband called us the chicks instead of the girls. I really want to hear what they're doing. I really want to hear what they're up to. It's really interesting to me. And there's a whole lot more joy in that than there is in talking about myself.
Oh, that's fabulous. I'm going to go back to when you talked about your first foray into this is being a newcomer greeter and being introverted. I'm an extrovert, and yet when I meet new people, I get shy. People assume because I'm chatty and can sometimes be the life of the party that it's real easy for me to pick up the phone and yak away and so on. And I get shy and I call that out and people laugh. But the thing is, I think the whole purpose that I hear you say, and I've experienced it and seeing it with other people, when I was in the food, even though I was large, I thought small. I felt small. I felt insignificant. I felt invisible. Then, when I put down the food while I'm in program and start doing things that get me out of myself and think about other things and learn new skills, I saw that in the workplace because of my listening, learning to be a better listener. I could ask more thought-provoking questions. And it wasn't about, oh, Meg, you asked such great questions. It showed that I was paying attention and that I was engaged. And as a result, over the years of being in recovery, is that I was offered more responsibilities, or people really did listen to what I have to say. And also offered, Meg, would you be the person to carry this on and so on? And as a result, I built more confidence in myself. And I wasn't so small in my mind and in my confidence anymore. So, those are other things that I think have helped me throughout my career. My career has advanced because of those things.
Yes. It's funny you should bring that up. I had been thinking a few minutes ago, one of the greatest gifts of doing service is how it brings me face to face with my imperfections, some of my character defects, my fears, my insecurities. One of the things that I've learned about introverts over the years, because I've done some study of it, is that we can be very good actors on the stage. Where we struggle is walking into a party full of people we don't know. But put me on a stage, I'm okay. Now, I come across okay, maybe, but inside, I am all butterflies, full of fear. What stupid thing am I going to say? People are going to think I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know as much, and I'm not as smart as anybody else here. Those are the kinds of self talk that will tend to go through my mind. But you know what? By putting myself out there and doing the service and hearing my fellows say that they have a lot of the same fears and insecurities has helped me come to terms with that and accept that it's pretty normal. One of my favorite people says, I love it that I get to make mistakes. And the first time I heard that, I lit up like a light bulb. Oh my gosh, even this person feels that way? Wow. Wow. It's okay to make mistakes. Everybody does. It's okay to not be perfect. Nobody's perfect. And so it's it's service has given me opportunities to take on those. I think of them now more as kind of roadblocks to full living, the fears and the insecurities and the other so-called character defects. I think of a lot of them as coping mechanisms. This has given me opportunities to one by one address them. In my evening review at the end of the day, I'll write down where was I uncomfortable today and what helped? What did I do about it? What other work do I need to do? And I'll share that with my sponsor the next day. And honestly, she just recently complimented me on it too, and I've seen it myself. A lot of those things falling away one by one. Not gone completely. I don't think they ever will be, but so much easier, so much more at ease with them, being able to sit in that discomfort at times and not fall apart over it. That's been huge for my recovery. And of course, whenever my recovery is stronger, I believe I am more sane and useful in all other areas of my life. That's what I find. I'm a better wife, mother, grandmother, friend, volunteer, associate. All of those things seem to line up better when I'm healthier. And that doesn't mean I'm not afraid. It just means I'm okay with that fear for today. Little bit's okay. And when it's not okay, I know what to do about it. And I learned it by doing service to a large extent.
That is fabulous. And it's so true. I think about, we hear all the time, progress, not perfection. And the one thing I love about doing service in OA is that I'm not evaluated like I am on a job. It's not, Meg, you should have done it this way or that way, and oh, you really blew it, and so on. I really have my sponsor and my meeting and my friends to help me with that. But if we all play by the same rules, we're all here knowing that, hey, and as I have a friend say, you know what, if you goof up, we're just not going to pay you. And then we all laugh because we're all volunteers. But I think about, I don't have to worry about sitting and justifying my choice of how I'm going to give back to this organization. The fact that Tradition 12, everybody always seems to chant it whenever we read that, but it's principles before personalities. And for me, I have found the only way I learn how to deal with those personalities that make my nostrils flare and my eyes pop open is to do service, because then I learn how to navigate those people who sometimes at first irritate me, or I think, why would you think that? That's my humanness. And some of those people have now become like my lifelong friends. And I just chuckle at that. But it's because it's
Yeah.
navigating life and we get to practice it in a wonderful community.
Yes, absolutely. It's such a gift. It really is. I every time I've taken a step, I'll call it forward in my service in OA, I take a big breath and I think, okay, really, higher power? Really? Are you sure? Are you sure? Am I going to be up to it? Am I going to be able to do it? And it always works out. It has never not worked out for me. And I've always come away, I think, feeling richer for the experience. And that's just priceless. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Laurie, think about the service roles that you've had and stuff. Is there one that you had a delightful surprise that either A, you learned a new skill, or you learned something about yourself that you didn't know you possessed?
Wow. That's probably a little bit true for all of them, but I think probably the one that has had where that's most pronounced, I'll say, is in this current one as trustee. It was completely out of the blue for me. I had been a World Service Business delegate some years ago, 10 years ago, several years in a row, moved to a different region, took a sabbatical from some really demanding service because my mother had died and it was a long stretch. Anyway, when I came back to the region where I am now, there was no World Service rep. And I said, we need that. All right, I'll do it. Walked in and I heard an announcement that people were needed to fill the trustee positions. And I thought, that's good. That's good. I'm sure they'll get some good people. I really did. I really walked away from there. But by the time I left, I had started to realize and started to feel the nudges from my higher power that this was something I should consider doing. And I looked at the qualifications and saw that I met them and still was doubtful about it. And I don't, not to go on and on about that, but that's how much of a surprise it was to me that I ended up doing this. And so it has just been mind blowing. I didn't take a long time to think about it. I felt the nudge, tap on the shoulder, whatever you want to call that, from my higher power, and I did it. And I accepted the appointment when it came. And I remember thinking, this feels like jumping off the cliff, like when I first started in OA, where people would say, there is a safety net there. There really is. Your higher power is there for you. And I wanted to believe that, but I wasn't sure I did. It felt a bit like that at first. And I am surprised to be able to say now, just under 2 years later, that I'm sitting here chatting with you and really enjoying this. I felt a little nervous turning on the computer and sitting down to do this, but the reality is it's been a lot of fun just talking. We all, I think, have a wealth of knowledge and ability within us that we don't give ourselves enough credit for or don't pause to recognize. And opportunities like service give that a chance to bloom, to come out, and to show us who we are and what we're capable of. And that's, wow, that's a beautiful thing. There's nothing much better than the joy of a job well done. And it's very easy with the love, support, and help we get in OA from our fellows, just like you were talking about a few minutes ago. We all play by the same rules. We all love and support each other. We cut each other some slack when we make a mistake, and we clean up when we make a mistake. And that's universal. It's just a whole different way of being in the world that has really been amplified for me in this job. And I've surprised myself at coming through with some things. And I've just been so delighted with the support I get and the acceptance. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Laurie, for sharing your wisdom and experience. And for those of you who are thinking about, oh, service, I'm so tired of hearing that word, give it a shot. Try that one thing you've been thinking about, whatever, just jump in. And if you find after a while you really don't like it, then you get to stop. But if you find out that, I'm learning some things that, hey, this feels good, you never know. Laurie and I would have never met had we not stepped into service positions, and we live in two
Mhm.
different parts of the country. I have friends all over the world. I feel like one of the richest people just because of that. And I just want you to think all you have to do is talk to your sponsor, talk to others, and visit us at oa.org. You'll find a wealth of information at your fingertips. And there are retreats and workshops going on all over the world. All you have to do is hit the menu button, click news and events, and look at the event calendar. So if you're going on a trip and you think, wow, we're going to go to Arizona and we live in Maine, you see what's going on in Arizona when you're going there. And then you will already have immediate friends in the sense all you have to do is walk into an OA meeting, workshop, retreat, whatever, and you're among your own people. So just know whatever you do in this program, after you put down the food, the world is for us. And you will be on your way to a new experience, whether it's in person or online. We'll see you next time.